his location to his brother, Abdul Robinson Jr., who was with their cousin, Torgon Williams, because they both played a role in this crime as well. And at that moment, Abdul Robinson Jr. and Torgon Williams were back at Torgon's house on Dalehurst Drive, just behind the Merrill Road Shopping Plaza, where Torgon lived with his girlfriend 5 years ago, named Natalie. Now, Natalie was asleep and had no idea what had happened that morning. Abdul Robinson Jr. did, Torgon did, and they knew he needed help, just as Leroy Whitaker and Dominic Barner needed help. So they woke up Natalie. She was asked to go to that apartment complex and pick him up. She did. She brought him back to their house, where he was reunited with his brother, Abdul Robinson Jr., and his cousin, Torgon. That will be corroborated by another witness who lived at the apartment complex at the time, who saw a white female in a silver car matching the description of Natalie and the vehicle she drove over there, driving around the parking lot like she was looking for somebody. And that resident realized Natalie didn't really belong in the area. And she had also gotten an alert on her phone about JSO looking for suspects and a clothing description, including that two-tone hoodie. As Natalie was out front trying to find him, she heard another person coming through the woods wearing that two-tone hoodie. Now, she didn't get a long enough look to be able to say, I recognize that person. She's not going to be able to identify him. She got a quick glance because when she saw the clothing based on the alert, she got scared and ran back inside. But that was Hakeem Robinson coming out. Natalie picked him up and drove him back for Torgon, for Abdul Robinson Jr. Dominic Barner was the first to be identified, the first to be arrested, the first to be charged. And when he was initially arrested on January 15th of 2020, that same day, he wasn't completely forthcoming. He didn't walk in to the police and say, you got me, this is what I did, this is what we did. He minimized, he made some statements, but he minimized and didn't say who he was with. But he was charged, and he's going to testify in this case. So when he testifies, he's going to come out the back, because he's in a jail uniform, he's in shackles, and you will learn that he has been charged with multiple crimes. That he has pled guilty to multiple crimes. He has pled guilty to second-degree murder for his involvement in driving and taking and participating in the murder of Charles McCormick with Hakeem Robinson and Leroy Whitaker. He's pled guilty. He's pled guilty to burglary with an assault or battery for what he and Leroy Whitaker did to Miss Buckley, breaking into her home to escape the police and grabbing her and pulling her back inside and holding her there. He's pled guilty to aggravated fleeing and attempting to elude law enforcement. And he has also pled guilty to a separate second-degree murder charge. When he testifies, he does not know what sentence he is going to get because he has not yet been sentenced. But for each and every one of those charges, he's pled guilty to the court, to the judge. And the judge will decide what sentence Dominic Barner gets. All he knows is what he's looking at. And he's looking at up to life in prison. Life, without parole. You can get that. His guideline sentence, which reflects the minimum he should get, absent a legal reason to go below, is 41.8 years, up to life in prison. Now, this cooperation does provide the court with a legal basis that allows the judge to go below 41.8 years, if the judge wants to. Doesn't have to. Entirely up to the judge. He also knows that best case scenario, there is no way he can get anything less than 20 years. So he's looking at 20 years, 2 decades, up to life in prison. And even with his cooperation, he can get life. But he's going to tell you what he did. And when he testifies, knowing what he has been charged with, what he has done. The state's not asking that you like him. The state's not asking that you think, I'd be friends with that guy. I'd hang out with him. Though that's exactly what Hakeem Robinson and Leroy Whitaker did, and what they have done for years. They're the same. But what he has to say, because he was involved, is enlightening. But also make no mistake, this case, without Dominic Barner, is proven. It's proven by all the evidence they left behind. It's proven by the DNA, it's proven by the fingerprints, it's proven by call records, it's proven by cell site location information, it's proven by the video of the murder, your own God-given common sense, as well as social media posts, among many other pieces of evidence. When Barner testifies, he is going to acknowledge Charles McCormick was targeted because of that song. A song that, by the way, you will see in evidence because it was on Hakeem Robinson's iCloud account. You get to hear it. He's going to confirm that was the motive, that was the reason that they found out, and Barner played a role in finding out where Charles McCormick lived. And on the morning of January 15, 2020, he calls Abdul Robinson Jr., his brother, Leroy Whitaker's cousin, says he's back. That's going to be confirmed by call records. And then what happens? Dominic Barner gets picked up by Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker, Abdul Robinson Jr., and they, along with Torgon Williams, eventually all go over to Charles McCormick's apartment complex with the intent, one, killing him. Abdul Robinson Jr. and Torgon are in a clean car, a rental, Dodge Journey. Can't be tied back. It's a rental, excuse me. Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker, and Dominic Barner are in a stolen car, a car that can't be tied back to them. And the role of the clean car is to basically try and make sure they don't get pulled over by the police when they're going where they need to go. So collectively, they go to Charles McCormick's apartment complex. And again, Hakeem Robinson is armed with his rifle, as is Leroy Whitaker. And there, they wait for him. But as they wait, because it takes so long, they get distracted. They miss Charles McCormick when he comes out of his apartment. He's able to make it to his car. Then he's able to drive away from his complex towards the shopping plaza on Merrill Road. And so they pivot. Dominic Barner, Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker pursue him, stalk him, follow him, all with the intent to end his life. And that's when they make it to that shopping center. And ultimately what unfolds, you will witness with your own eyes. What Dominic Barner will add is that when they got to the shopping plaza, not only initially was it, again, Leroy Whitaker and Hakeem Robinson that were going to jump out and kill Charles McCormick, but Barner says, I changed the plan. We were too far back. It's a shopping center, it's getting busy. So he relocates closer to Charles McCormick's car, and the plan then becomes that Hakeem Robinson's going to hop out as soon as Charles makes it back to his car. While they wait for Charles to exit, Hakeem Robinson does two things. One, using Instagram on his phone, he contacts Raekwon Howard. Raekwon Howard, who is affiliated with Six Block. They're ops. Tells him, got one of your boys slipping. Let him know they're getting ready to take somebody out, but doesn't say who. That will be confirmed by Instagram records showing that video call between Hakeem Robinson's Instagram account and Raekwon Howard's right before the murder. Dominic Barner will also tell you that as they waited, Hakeem Robinson thought about not using his rifle. He didn't want to burn that gun. He used it to murder and Critic. So he thought about using Barner's glove. The handgun glove. Remember whose fingerprints were on that? You may not like Dominic Barner. He is a criminal, and he is going to spend decades up to life in prison for what he has done. But because you may not like him, because he is guilty, that does not absolve Hakeem Robinson or Leroy Whitaker of their guilt. It does not change what they did. So when Dominic Barner testifies, he's a criminal. He just won't be the only criminal in this courtroom. Another person you will hear from is Abdul Robinson Sr. Family. And when he testifies, you will learn that he has been charged with and pled to 2 different counts of accessory after the fact. One for this case and one for another. Unlike Dominic Barner, there has been a partial negotiation with Abdul Robinson Jr. And the minimum sentence he can get is 20 years. Again, it will be decided by the judge. But he's also in his mid-50s. And he has some health issues. And a sentence of 20 years could take him to his life expectancy. And he knows when he comes in that he's going to be despised, that he's going to be hated by his family, by Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker, maybe others in this courtroom. The question is not, do you like Abdul Robinson Jr., or excuse me, Sr.? The question isn't, do you think he's being a good father? The question is, what he has to say, is it corroborated by the evidence? Independent evidence. Evidence he has no control over, that he could not manufacture. Is it corroborated by the evidence? Not, do we like him? And what he is going to tell you is that Willie Addison was his son. That he was in the car with him, along with his other son, Abdul Jr., when they were shot. Oregon, shot. And that after that shooting, they became aware of Charles McCormick's song, and they didn't like it. Abdul Jr., who was shot in the head but recovered, and his brother, Hakeem Robinson, they were very angry over that song. And he will tell you that he was contacted on January 15, 2020 by Abdul Jr. and Leroy Whitaker, Scotty, because they needed help. And though he didn't know about the murder before it happened, didn't participate in it, he went, he picked them up, and he found out all about it. And he still drove them away and helped them get out of there. He also will tell you that he is aware of that dash cam video that captured the murder. And he has seen it. He will tell you in this courtroom, regardless of what you think of him, the shooter in that video is his son, Hakeem Robinson. He knows his son. You may have thoughts about him as a father, good, bad, or indifferent. He knows who Hakeem Robinson is. And he knows that's him in that shooting. That shooting on that video. In addition to all of this evidence, as I have touched on briefly, you will see cell phone records, communications among the members of this group, these co-defendants, but the cell site location information. Cell site location information confirming what Abdul Robinson Sr. Blue will tell you. He was somewhere else when this crime happened, and how he arrived at Townsend Boulevard to pick Leroy Whitaker, Dominic Barner up. See that cell site location information as well as the pin drop sent to him and the calls. You will see cell site location information for Abdul Robinson Jr. He had 2 phones in his possession that day, a 904 number and a 478 area code number. And both of those place him going to pick Dominic Barner up that morning going over to the apartment complex where Charles McCormick lived, and then back over near the shopping plaza where Torgon lived. And then finally, after relaying information to his father so that Leroy Whitaker and Dominic Barner could be picked up, back over on Brown Jersey Court where he lived with Hakeem Robinson and their father. Leroy Whitaker, his phone, places him where he did not want to tell you he was at. Where he wants to keep hidden from you. It places him in the area of Charles McCormick's apartment complex, Merrill Road Shopping Plaza, where the murder took place at the time of the murder, and then over on Townsend, where the burglary to Miss Buckley's home took place, and then finally, after getting picked up by Dominic Barner, back Brown Jersey Court. Excuse me, we got picked up by Blue, was driven back to Brown Jersey Court. And then Hakeem Robinson, he had a couple phones. His primary phone number, a 904 area code, which was very active that day, until it wasn't. That morning, it mysteriously is turned off. It was silent. No calls, no activity, nothing. For a period of hours, covering the stalking, the murder, the flight, until he would have been back home. And then later that afternoon, hey, it's up again. Curious. But then there was a second phone number, a 478 area code number. Now, the evidence will establish belonged to Hakeem Robinson. And that phone number, data files. FaceTime calls, Instagram calls, things like that. Guess where it was? The area of the shopping center, the area of the murder, at the time of the murder. And over in the area of Townsend, where that Nissan fled and crashed, where he ran away on foot. And back over near Dalehurst in that area, around the time Natalie would have picked him up and been bringing him back. Curious. Because of all of the evidence, the powerful evidence, the inescapable evidence in this case, I expect that one of the focuses will be on a few witnesses who, again, keep in mind when this murder took place, and you'll see it lasted 10 seconds, 10 violent seconds, but seconds nonetheless. For some witnesses who, based on how far away they were, their vantage point, how long of a look they got, a number of factors come into play, and you'll have your common sense to evaluate that. Some witnesses who, when they estimated, provided a guess of what they thought the shooter's height might be as he was running and gunning, underestimated the height that we know Hakeem Robinson to be. You'll be able to evaluate that because you'll also have the video. And the video will show what Hakeem Robinson, the shooter, 5 years ago in relation to the victim, Charles McCormick. You'll be able to make your own observations and determinations as to how they physically compare to one another. I also expect that there will be some attacks of Dominic Barner and Abdul Robinson Sr. because their testimony is damning. But when they testify and when those attacks come, I just want you to do two things. One, simply ask yourself, removing emotion as to whether or not you like them or think they're good. They're criminals. Just not the only ones. Does the evidence, the independent evidence in this case, corroborate what they have to say? Does it establish what they are telling you? And then secondly, remember, they're not strangers. This is a family. And consider, when co-defendants come together to commit a violent murder, angels aren't invited. Hakeem Robinson and Leroy Whitaker may have temporarily physically escaped their guilt on January 15, 2020, but that guilt stains them to this day. if Charles McCormick still had the ability to speak, if before he died, hidden truths were revealed.
Excuse me, we need all electronic devices to be turned off. Thank you.
And if Charles McCormick would have witnessed and been aware of and seen and heard all of the evidence that we have discussed, DNA, the fingerprints found in the murder car, the motive found on his account, the video of the murder itself, cell phone records, location information, the nail salon post, and many others. Is there any doubt that if he could stand in here and testify, he would not scream Hakeem Robinson and Leroy Whitaker's guilty name? The evidence will answer for you where they were and what they did January 15, 2020.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cooper. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask that you each step into your respective jury rooms for a bio break since it is 3:50 p.m. But I do want to explain something. This trial is being tried together, and the majority of what will be presented together. But there are some times that things must be presented separately. Opening statements is one of those. So Hakeem Robinson's jury, you are going to step in for a bio break, but you're going to remain in there while Leroy Whitaker's jury will hear from Ms. Schlax and Mr. Whitaker's opening. And then when that is concluded, you will be excused, and then you will return out, Hakeem Robinson's jury, to hear the opening statement by Mr. Robinson's counsel. So I wanted to explain that. But for now, both sides may step into the jury room to use the facilities. Mr. Whitaker's jury, I'll bring you back out here hopefully in about 10.
Woo, ooh, what y'all thinking so far? I miss what the world is. They taking a break? I miss what the judge. It was kind of muffled. Hold on. I miss what the judge was saying just now. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm gonna go back and listen. I know she said something about we on recess. Oh, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. I'm like, y'all, it's been years. What y'all thinking? So everybody over the years that we thought was going to testify will be testified, including Ksoo's dad, including the guy with the nickname Bud. I forgot his actual first name off the top of my head. So everybody is basically testifying, and that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm really intrigued to see how the dad gonna really get up there and testify against his son. That's gonna be crazy. No, Scotty ain't testifying. He's on trial. So currently, Ksoo and Scotty are on trial. What's Butter actual real name? Give me a second. Music 101. What's up? What's up? Hold on, give me a second. What's Butter real name? Yeah, that's his real daddy, for sure. That's his real daddy. Dominique Barner, okay, aka Butter is his name. A lot of y'all should have watched the interrogation footage for him. I know we went over it on this channel before. Let me take that off the screen real quick. But if y'all remember, this is Dominique Barner, aka Butter. He was one of the defendants in the case. Now he has pleaded out and he will be testifying against Ksoo Ksoo and Scotty. So yeah, it's gonna be intriguing for sure because people that was actually there. Listen, what's up, Blue? You know, it's gonna be hard to figure out how this gonna go. Off the top of my head, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Off the top of my head, it seems like I don't know how these boys got to get from up under this, but we never know. It's only day one. It's only an opening statement, so we never know how it's gonna go. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm trying not to miss nothing because I was already late. Duty Low, what's up? I was already late to the party. Yeah, I was not there. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all know yesterday I told you I wasn't sure if they was gonna stream it, but I woke up just in time. Shout out to Music 101 for waking me up. So it's just opening statements. Right now, the prosecution is the one talking. Once the prosecution is done, then of course the defense. But I don't know, y'all. I don't know how these boys gonna get from up under this. They got a lot of people cooperating. They got a lot of evidence, but again, it's still early. It's only day one. GTA, what's up? I'm feeling good. Y'all know I'm still dealing with my hormone situation since surgery, but I'm coming up out of it, trying to get back into content. You know, so hopefully. But I ain't gonna lie, Vonnie. Hey, the butter dude, he looking at life. Telling and getting life is crazy. Okay? Telling and getting life is crazy. Now I can understand the dad facing 20, but like they said, he already 50. Okay. Look, telling and getting life is just crazy work. So you about to have that label on you while you I wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, it's crazy that the dude name is Butter because we know about the Chicago Butter. So, but this one might be worse than that one. Okay, at this point, say dude wasn't talking about DNA. They had it in the car and things like that. I think a lot of it is circumstantial, but when you start putting it all together, that's what make it just like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, dang, because it sounds bad. I ain't gonna lie. For those who have been here listening with us, the prosecution make it seem like they done tied this thing with a bow. But again, we haven't heard from the defense for it to come out and actually like poke holes in the story. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a minute since we had a trial to watch. I'm actually excited to finally have one to watch. Especially one that we already been covering for a long time. Y'all know we've been talking about, I know since I've been a blogger, we've been talking about this case. And I think they got locked up right before I even start blogging. So this has been years in the making. Years in the making. Another butter taking a stand. I say must be saying with that name. What do you feel about T Grizzly? I actually got to drop my video for T Grizzly. So I will have a video coming. I'm not prepared. I would have did it while we was waiting, but I ain't prepared to do it. But it's a crazy situation. But I was reading the documents on the case just with the details. I've listened to T Grizzly give his side of the story about 5 years ago or something. And yeah, I mean, the most alarming thing, I guess, since we got time in between before court start back up, the thing with the T Grizzly situation is the fact that the shooter came from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And y'all know the internet always put a label on somebody. Everybody 600, everybody OTF, everybody somebody. So the fact that the connection is a dude from Chicago that's tied to 600 or whatever, that makes it real like, oh yeah, T Grizzly had to do it. But when you think about it, like, it's so many other factors into it, because was it really T Grizzly that set something up, or was T Grizzly set up? You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the details of what they're saying in the case about how the shooter came from Chicago the day before, how the shooter sat and wait in the area for 2 hours before T Grizzly even got there. So my thing is, if T Grizzly set it up, he wouldn't have to wait for 2 hours because he would have known exactly when they was coming. However, if somebody else set it up and wasn't sure when T Grizzly was going to get there, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to break it all down in my video. So I ain't convinced. Y'all know, I wish I would have known about it in advance because y'all know I'm from Detroit originally. I would have went up there to catch the trial. But by the time I found out trial was already in play and I can't just jump and travel just like that for some days. So I know a lot of things may be coming out in the trial. But yeah, I'm not convinced though, just in a nutshell, I'm not convinced that T Grizzly had anything to do with it, even though a lot of people are saying that. I've been hearing that people are saying it's phone calls between T Grizzly and something. I'll be honest, if T Grizzly has something to do with it, or even if somebody else has something to do with it, it has to be a middle person. It has to be a middle person. I'll be honest. So like, I'm just outside looking in, going off the narratives. Like, I don't see T Grizzly hitting up a random dude in Chicago. Like, it's not gonna happen. It had to be a middle person. And even if it was somebody else, they're not just gonna hit up a random dude in Chicago. It had to be a middle person. So I just don't see them having a phone call, you know, with T Grizzly directly with the dude that's on trial. I'm just saying. That's me. But I'm gonna break it down. I got, like I said, I got the documents. We're gonna go over it. But yeah, that's gonna come later. But y'all know I ain't gonna be too quick like all my street nigga bloggers and just like, oh, T Grizzly did it and all that. Like, it's just too many different pieces that's moving on that case. Like, you just don't know. Then mind you, the crazy part about it is the timing that it happened. So see, y'all done got me on the T Grizzly shit now. So T Grizzly gets out the car, goes knocking on the door to get in the house. He still hasn't even gotten in the house when the shooting takes place. So that's what made me feel like how y'all don't figure he was really the target being set up. They opened his door and shot only in the back. You know? Now it doesn't specify if the auntie was right by the door or on the other side of the car, but the fact that they went to his door and started shooting. The fact that you sitting, for one, I will say this now, sitting in an unlocked car is crazy. I wouldn't do that where I'm at now, let alone in Detroit. So like, sitting in an unlocked car is crazy. And then it's like the details of why he went over to his uncle's house. That's the part that's kind of like, because sitting in a car anywhere seemed like that wouldn't be the best thing to do. So why would the aunt sit in a car if he was going to be chilling for a minute? So it seemed like he was only stopping by real quick. So the question would be like, who knew you was going to stop by? And when he was gonna stop by, because again, the shooter, alleged shooter, flew from Chicago the day before. Drove to Detroit the day before, and from 7 to 9 p.m. was sitting at, like, I think a half a mile away from where the shooting took place. So I don't know. It just don't scream that T Grizzly did it to me. That's just me. I don't know. I wasn't there, but that's just how I feel about it. Hold on, y'all. But yeah, but I'm gonna do a video. We're gonna break it down. Court for Ksoo and Scotty should be coming back on in a few minutes. Like I said, I was not prepared to be on live today. I was knocked out. I had a long night. But nevertheless, I'm here. I made sure I got up and got to going because I said we've been waiting too long for this to take place. Too long. Where the uncle, BJ, or JB husband at? I know they. So based on what I was looking at, I think they separated, like, or divorced. I'm not sure they was officially divorced, but they separated, for sure. But where she got killed at is green over there. What does that mean? Elaborate. Y'all know I'm look. Y'all know the lingo. You make me feel. Oh, what does green over there mean? I think T Grizzly played it off real good, knowing that dude was at the scene for 2 hours before he pulled up. I just feel like that's just too long. Like, that's just too long. Like this, like, hear me out, Chelsea, right? If you know for sure, like, you are the person that put this into play, then you gonna say, all right, I'm gonna be there about 8:30. Like, a person ain't got to sit on you for no 2 hours, because they already know when you moving. And that's what had me just like, for a person to be sitting and waiting, that makes me feel like they don't know when you're coming. And now, mind you, according to the prosecution case, they were in an Uber. So, like, when T Grizzly tells the story, he said his driver, this and that, but they were actually in an Uber. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hell, you could have let them know when you ordered the Uber. You know, they wouldn't have to wait on you. I feel like whoever put it in play knew T Grizzly was going to his people's house. They just ain't know when. And that just made me feel like, you hit up somebody else, you gonna pull up, and they were like, I'm gonna pull up later on after I leave the studio, because before they got there, they was at the studio. You know what I'm saying? Oh, 12 be all over there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Before they got there, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would already, when I hear people sitting and waiting, I just feel like somebody else put it in play for that long. And that crackhead told the truth, and he lied about things he shouldn't have lied about too. What crackhead? Y'all know I'm new to this story. I'm just catching up on it. But what crackhead told the truth? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not clearing T Grizzly at all. All I'm saying, when you look at it, it could be that he was actually set up, because it's just sitting too. And then listen to this. If the dude came in town the day before, what made that particular part, like that particular time, the time to do it? Now, mind you, they was at the studio. You know what I'm saying? The person house where it happened at. So his uncle was a crackhead? Because according to what they said, it happened at the uncle house, T Grizzly uncle house. But again, the shooter came in town the day before. So that means he was in Detroit all day. So why? And then according to GTA, you know what I'm saying? It was a woman. Well, maybe a woman is who, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't listening to crackheads. I ain't gonna lie. Crackhead statements are not unreliable, just period. Because maybe it was a trap house then. Because I just don't see, like, crackheads lie. I'm sorry, just my experience with crackheads. Crackheads lie. I'm never gonna take a hell. How we know somebody ain't paid them no dope to say it? Like, I don't even know what she said. I just don't take the word of a smoker. I'm sorry, that's just me. Smokers lie too much. So if a woman if that was actually her house, then she was either letting no trap out her house or something, because he went to see a dude. So I'm gonna have to listen to the statement, but just me personally, I ain't believing smokers. His deposition about this always bugged me personally. Where his deposition at? I heard he played the field, but y'all gotta understand, and I'll say this because I said the same thing with Fredo Bang. When you have street niggas, they're not gonna be too quick to say anything in the courtroom, like, for real. I don't care who died. Like, when you have dudes that's coming out the street, they're not gonna be too quick to get in there and just spill it all. So I haven't heard or read his deposition, but I did hear he played the field. That's no different than what Fredo Bang did. Like, they're not gonna sit there and, a deposition. Okay, you talking about just how he act. I think the trial about to start back up. I don't know, again, when you talking about, That's the good part of Detroit. And they got crackheads over there. They got, I don't know then. But it just seems like something is definitely off. I just don't per se think it's, you know what I'm saying, was on that. Aunt found JB and T was doing acrobats. That's all nigga gotta say. T went to pick up the 100 You funny. But her and his uncle wasn't together no more. I don't think it was like, you know, like I said, I think just based off what
we've got
feel like, hold on, y'all. God, dang, why they came back so loud? I just feel like, hold on, let me.
Again, and no communication includes no emailing, text messaging, tweeting, blogging, or any other form of communication. You cannot do any research about the case or look up any words or information about this case. And if you become aware of any violation of these rules at all, you must please notify court personnel of the violation. Now, during the course of the trial, the court will take recesses both during the day and, of course, overnight, and you will be permitted to separate and go about your personal affairs. During these recesses, you must not discuss this case with anyone, nor allow anyone to say anything to you or in your presence about the case. If anyone attempts to say anything to you or in your presence about the case, immediately leave that person and report the matter to one of my bailiffs, who will then notify me. If he or she persists, then likewise notify my bailiff, who will notify me. In addition, you cannot have any cell phones, tablets, laptops, or other electronic devices in this courtroom. You may use these devices during recesses, of course, but even then you must not use your cell phone or electronic device to find out any information about the case or to communicate with anyone about the case or the people involved in the case. Do not take photographs, video recordings, or audio recordings of the proceedings or of your fellow jurors. At the end of the case, while you are deliberating, you also must not communicate with anyone outside the jury room. If someone needs to reach you to contact you in an emergency, the court can receive messages and deliver them to you without delay. So if a contact phone number hasn't already been provided, we will do so before we leave this evening. Now, this case must be tried by you only on the evidence presented during your collective presence in this courtroom in front of the defendants, the attorneys, and the court. That means jurors must not conduct any investigation on their own. And this includes reading newspapers, watching television, using a computer, a cell phone, the internet, any electronic device, or any other means at all to get information related to this case or to the people and places involved in this case. And this applies whether you're at the courthouse, at home, or anywhere else. You must not visit places mentioned in the trial or use the internet to look up maps or pictures to see any place discussed during the trial. What are the reasons for all these rules? These rules are imposed because jurors must decide the case without distraction and only on the evidence presented in the courtroom. If you investigate, research, or make inquiries on your own, the trial judge has no way to assure that the information you find is proper for this case. The parties, likewise, have no opportunity to dispute or challenge the accuracy of what you might find. And that is contrary to our judicial system, which assures every party the right to ask questions about and challenge the evidence being considered against it, and to present argument with respect to that evidence. So any independent investigation by a juror unfairly and improperly prevents the parties from having the opportunity that our judicial system promises. And any juror who violates these restrictions jeopardizes the fairness of these proceedings, and a mistrial could result, which would require this entire trial process to start over. A mistrial is a tremendous expense and inconvenience, not just for the parties and for the court, but for the taxpayers. So if you violate these rules, you may be held in contempt of court and you could face sanctions such as serving time in jail, paying a fine, or both. Further, you must not speak with the attorneys, the witnesses, or the defendants about any subject matter until your deliberations are complete. Now, in every criminal proceeding, a defendant has the absolute right to remain silent. At no time is it the duty of a defendant to prove his innocence. From the exercise of the defendant's right to remain silent, a jury is not permitted to draw any inference of guilt, and the fact that a defendant did not take the witness stand must not influence your verdict in any manner whatsoever. The attorneys are trained in the rules of evidence and in trial procedure, and it is their duty to make all objections that they feel are proper. When an objection is made, you should not speculate on the reason why it was made. And likewise, when an objection is upheld or sustained by me, you should not speculate on what might have occurred had the objection not been sustained, or what a witness might have said had he or she been permitted to answer the question. Additionally, during trial, it may be necessary to confer with the attorneys out of your hearing to discuss matters of law and other matters that require consideration by me alone. It is impossible to predict when such conferences may be required or how long it will last, but when such conferences occur, they will be conducted so as to consume as little of your time as is necessary for a fair and orderly trial of this case. Now, the defendants, both defendants in this case, have entered pleas of not guilty. This means you must presume or believe that each defendant is innocent. The presumption stays with each defendant as to each material allegation in the indictment through each stage of the trial, unless it has been overcome by the evidence to the exclusion of and beyond a reasonable doubt. To overcome the defendant's presumption of innocence, the state has the burden of proving, number one, the crime or crimes with which each defendant is charged were committed, and each defendant is the person who committed that crime. The defendants are not required to present evidence or prove anything. Whenever the words reasonable doubt are used, you must consider the following. A reasonable doubt is not a mere possible doubt, a speculative, imaginary, or forced doubt. Such a doubt must not influence you to return a verdict of not guilty if you have an abiding conviction of guilt. On the other hand, if after carefully considering, comparing, and weighing all the evidence, there is not an abiding conviction of guilt, or if having a conviction, it is one which is not stable but one which wavers and vacillates, then the charge is not proved beyond every reasonable doubt, and you must find the defendant not guilty because the doubt is reasonable. It is to the evidence introduced in this trial and to it alone that you are to look for that proof. A reasonable doubt as to the guilt of each defendant may arise from the evidence, conflict in the evidence, or the lack of evidence. If you have a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant not guilty. If you have no reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant guilty. Now, it is up to you to decide what evidence is reliable. You should use your common sense in deciding which is the best evidence and which evidence should not be relied upon in considering your verdict. You may find some of the evidence not reliable or less reliable than other evidence. You should also consider how the witnesses act as well as what they say. And some other things you should consider are, number one, did the witness seem to have an opportunity to see and know the things about which the witness testified? Number two, did the witness seem to have an accurate memory? Number three, was the witness honest and straightforward in answering the attorney's questions? Number four, did the witness have some interest in how the case should be decided? And number five, does the witness's testimony agree with the other testimony or other evidence in the case? You may rely upon your own conclusion about the credibility of any witness. You, a juror, may believe or disbelieve all or any part of the evidence or the testimony of any witness. Now, if you would like to take notes during this trial, you may do so. You have all been provided with a notepad and a pen for your use if you wish to take notes. Please do not write on the cover page of each of the notepads. That will prevent your notes from being inadvertently read when the notepads are collected. You should not take your notes with you during any recesses or overnight. During these recesses and overnight, your notepads will be collected by the bailiffs, and they're going to be locked and secured, and then they will be returned to you when we reconvene. After you have completed your jury deliberations and have been discharged from jury service, the bailiff will collect your notepads one final time, will turn them over to Madam Clerk for sealing, and then they will be destroyed. No one will ever read your notes, including this court. Now, if you do take notes during the trial, do not get so involved in the note-taking that you become distracted from the proceedings. It is sometimes difficult to take detailed notes and to pay attention to what the witnesses are saying at the same time. So if you do take notes, please be sure that your taking of notes does not interfere with your listening to and considering all the evidence. In addition, if you do take notes, please remember that any notes you take are for your individual use. Your notes are simply a tool to aid your individual memory. You should not compare your notes with other jurors in determining the content of any testimony or in evaluating the importance of any evidence. Your notes are not evidence and are by no means a complete outline of the proceedings or a list of highlights of the trial. Above all, your memory should be your greatest asset when it comes time to deliberate and render a decision in each of these cases. On the other hand, of course, you are not required to take notes if you don't want to do so. That decision will be left up to you entirely. But whether or not you take notes, you should rely on your memory of the evidence, and you should not be unduly influenced by any notes. Notes are not entitled to any greater weight than each juror's memory of the evidence. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, deciding a verdict is exclusively your job. I cannot participate in that decision in any way. Please disregard anything I may say or do that might make you think I prefer one verdict over the other. Now, this concludes part one of the instructions. When all the evidence has been presented and after the attorneys have made their closing arguments, then the court will provide you with part two of the instructions. So at this time, I will call upon the state for its opening statement.
Hold on, I don't think they went backwards. Hold up. Ah, shit. Well, we ain't watched that part. Hold on, y'all. Cause I think the fence is up.
You're gonna watch a video of Charles McCormick being chased down and shot. The shooter, the lone gunman in that video is not Leroy Whitaker. So how are we here? Why are we here? In this room, everything changes. See, before we come into this room, the state of Florida has the absolute power, the choice, the prerogative to charge or not charge whoever they want. But once we come in here to our Hall of Justice, they must prove their allegations. They must prove their allegations with actual, credible evidence. And I urge you to write right now in the notebooks that were provided to you, a little topic I suggest to you. Evidence of Leroy Whitaker's participation in this murder. And ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be one thing and only one thing at the very end of all the testimony, everything that you're going to be presented. It's going to be one name only, Dominique Barner. That's it. That is it. The state star witness of which their house of cards in their allegations against Mr. Whitaker will collapse. Dominique Barner, an admitted two-time killer, paid for, self-proclaimed, paid for assassin. Dominique Barner will waltz into this courtroom and he will try to fill the blatant holes in the state's case. Their star witness will explain to you, well, you know, on January 15th, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office hauls me in. See, I don't just have tattoos on my arms. I have 1993 strapped right on my arm. Pretty distinctive. And Barbara Buckley did describe that in detail. And so the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was able to put together a photo spread within hours of Barbara Buckley's home being invaded by Dominique Barner. And lo and behold, she was, in no uncertain terms, you're gonna meet her. She's gonna tell you all. Dominique Barner sure scared me. Dominique Barner came into my home. Dominique Barner choked me out. Dominique Barner got me to the point where I just kind of finally faked passing out and sat on my couch and then ultimately smoked a cigarette. Dominique Barner was caught. And to hear the state of Florida talk about Dominique Barner, one might think, one might assume, Dominique Barner must have walked in on January 15th and said, oh, I need to tell all my sins. Oh, I need to confess. That's not what the evidence is going to show. What you're going to learn is that Dominique Barner came in on January 15th and he told just enough about himself to get him off his case. So let him go. He's still in jail, but he's not charged with murder yet. But then you're going to hear, as the murders pile up, see, there's this pesky second murder that you'll hear Dominique Barner was in part of, has admitted to premeditating, has admitted to pleading to that charge of a whole separate case where a truly innocent bystander gets killed. Because unfortunately, Dominique Barner misses who he was really gunning for. Interestingly enough, you will ultimately hear Abdul Robinson Sr. also part of that murder, also pled to that separate murder. But as those charges started piling up, Dominique Barner realized, I need to do what I do. I'll cooperate. See, by the time that Leroy Whitaker and Dominique Barner started spending any time together, Dominique Barner had already gotten his first cooperation against somebody completely different out of the way. Because that's what he does. Abdul Robinson Sr., same thing. Abdul Robinson Sr. has been cooperating since before Leroy Whitaker was born. That's what the evidence will show. But Dominique Barner will be the one and only piece of evidence the state will even attempt to convince you that Leroy Whitaker had any part in the death of Charles McCormick. The evidence will not be there. You're going to hear from Barbara Buckley, and I'll tell you up front, I think you'll like her. She's feisty. No one pulls anything over her eyes. And she's going to walk in and she's going to honestly talk to you about that morning. How it was just a normal morning. How she sees two people in her house and she says in very colorful language, get the hell out of my house. Dominique Barner didn't accept that and then was violent with her. And because of that, she was able in no uncertain terms, with confidence, with 1993 emblazoned on his arm, she picks him out. Dominique Barner did that. The second person, the other person in her home, she can't identify. What will the state try to rely on? Dominique Barner. Dominique Barner and Abdul Robinson Sr. have learned the system. They've learned what to say and how to say it. I urge you, listen carefully as they describe their cooperation agreements. For the two murders that Dominique Barner will tell you in no uncertain terms that he thought about, that he wanted to happen, he put into action, and did commit the murder. For two human beings being gone, what does he look forward to? Well, he has every hope and expectation of walking amongst us again in 20 short years. No mandatory life imprisonment for Dominique Barner. Dominique Barner, by singing the company line, can look forward to 20 years. That's the state evidence. You're going to hear from DNA experts. And I urge you right now, as I remember from jury selection, some of you had done 23andMe, Ancestry.com. I urge you to listen carefully. You're going to hear words like, well, this unknown profile, well, it's consistent with perhaps Mr. Whitaker, and provide computations to try to explain that to you. It is not, I submit to you, and you'll ultimately evaluate for yourselves, like what was revealed for each of you when you did 23andMe and Ancestry.com.
Objection, Judge.
In the ground. I'll sustain that objection.
You're going to hear and see from FBI agent Mr. Corley. And he's going to actually map out for you different phone numbers, and he'll tell you up front, these are approximations of where these phones might have been communicating with towers. And it'll be a lot of convoluted radio waves, all that kind of thing. But he'll try to tell you where he believes these phones were in general terms in Jacksonville. What he won't be able to tell you is who was using those phones or when. And you'll have to listen carefully, and I urge you to do so, for all of the testimony in regards to whose phone is who, and how in the world do we know that person is using it. One thing you'll learn from Agent Corley, as well as Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, is that oftentimes they'll get phone records for a month, or maybe even 2 months, and go through the phones to determine who are these people talking to. Just as a way, an investigative tool, if you will, to determine who's actually using these phones. Ultimately, no such evidence will be presented like that in this case, as will there be many things that you will wonder about, but will not be presented. Why? Because the evidence doesn't exist. At the close of all the evidence, after you carefully and critically analyze it, you will realize the state of Florida is on a quest for conviction. They will do so on a house of cards of Dominique Barner, two-time murderer, paid-for assassin. And at the close of all the evidence, you will ask, you will suggest and demand that you render the only verdicts that will be appropriate based on the evidence you receive. Those are verdicts of not guilty for Leroy Whitaker. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Schlax. All right, at this time then, I'm going to ask Mr. Whitaker's jury to have a step back into your jury room while we bring out Mr. Robinson's jury for his opening, and then we'll bring you out here just as soon as we can. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so I don't know what's going on with the feed. Give me 1 second, because I'm realizing all of the news stations is stopping at a certain point. Give me a second. Did they stop after? All right. Hold on, I got to find where we stopped at. I'm gonna need the news to get this together. All right, we already looked at her.
And Ms. Kowalski, you need to have the podium turned around facing that.
God dang it. So it's not me, it's them. I'm like, what the world is going on?
That there is no way that Hakeem Robinson is the person that shot and killed Charles McCormick. In order to try and prove their case, they're going to ask you to do something that I've never seen before. They're going to ask you to not believe your eyes. They're going to ask you to ignore what you see right in front of you. Because as the government just told you, there's a video recording of this homicide, and you're going to be able to see it, and you're going to be able to watch it. You are going to see a person, someone covered from head or whatever's on top of his head to toe, completely covered, chase down Charles McCormick in broad daylight and shoot him to death. And this was done in front of a bunch of witnesses. And the most important question in this case is going to be, who is the shooter? Who is the shooter? Members of the jury, that is the shooter. That is a still shot from the video that you will get. You will be presented with this during the course of this trial. And what these prosecutors are going to ask you to do is to find that Hakeem Robinson, who's clearly well above 6 feet tall and a heavier set person, and was like that 5 years ago, is that person. And it's not just that. They are going to ask you to ignore the descriptions given by each and every person that saw the shooter live. And members of the jury, these witnesses, each and every one of them are going to give you a description somewhere between 5'5" and 5'11". The other description they're going to give you, each of these witnesses that saw this person: slim, slender, thinner. And all those witnesses, they're going to ask you, the government, these unbiased civilian witnesses, discredit them. Don't believe them. They were wrong. The witnesses that they're going to ask you to believe are the ones who are actually involved in this murder. That's right. One by one, they are going to be walking them in here, some of them through that back door. Each one of them, hoping and praying to get some benefit from them. The people that hold all of the power to charge someone, to arrest someone, to drop charges. Then, all of these people are going to point the finger and go, the shooter is Hakeem. They are now going to present you one piece of reliable, direct evidence that definitively proves that Hakeem Robinson is a shooter. It's just going to be based on the lies of the people who actually committed this murder. This, members of the jury, is Hakeem Robinson. Stand up, Hakeem. He is a young, aspiring, talented musician who 5 years ago was wrenched from his family, his life, and his promising career, all because the government refused to look at literally what is right in front of them. And this is why I've asked Hakeem Robinson to stand up in front of you right now, members of the jury. Because you may not have taken too much notice over the past 3 days. Each and every time you walked into the courtroom and you left and we stood up, you didn't realize at that time how important it was to take a look at how tall Hakeem Robinson is and how big he is. But it is going to be the focal point of this trial. Because once you watch that video in the entirety, and then you look at what is standing right in front of you, and you're going to get pictures and stuff around the time that this took place. He hasn't changed, despite what Mr. Cooper is telling you. He is the same. There will be no doubt in your mind that he is not the person that shot and killed Charles McCormick. So how do we get here? You can have a seat, Hakeem. How do we get here where a clearly innocent person is being accused of a crime that he did not commit? And it boils down to perception versus reality. Because you're going to see that Hakeem Robinson, he wasn't arrested until 9 months after the murder. And none of them realized how big he is until he was arrested. But by that time, instead of admitting to the mistake that they made and pulling back and doing an investigation to find out who really did it, they doubled down. And they started to build their case and their witnesses around the idea and the belief that it was Hakeem Robinson that was the shooter. Now, on 5 years ago, January 15th, 2020, right on the brink of the world shutting down, right before the COVID-19 virus, Charles McCormick woke up in the morning, headed to Employment Express Agency on Merrill Road to follow up with getting a job. Little did he know that a man named Dominique Barno, and I'm going to say this name for the first time, I'm not sure why the state didn't mention this to you, and his friend Chris Brown had been stalking Charles McCormick that day. Dominique Barno is the one who was checking his Instagram account to see if he was in town that day. Dominique Barno is the one who pulled up his address on the court clerk's website to find out where he lived. He is the one that then tried to track him down and kill him that morning. You will hear that the reason Dominique Barno decided that he wanted to have Charles McCormick killed was all because of a song that he didn't like the lyrics to. The whole story that Mr. Cooper failed to mention to you, members of the jury, is that Mr. Barno will just tell you, I just didn't like that he was singing something he didn't know about. That's the reason why Charles McCormick is dead. And this man, members of the jury, Dominique Barno, the man who planned and orchestrated the murder of Charles McCormick, is going to be the government's star witness in this case. That is the person who they cut a contributor. The truth is, he has 9 other children by 5 different women that we know about. He has probably fathered a significant percentage of the men or women in Duval County. He was never involved in Hakeem's early life and only came around when Hakeem started to become a little recognized, a little famous with his music, and he started to make some real money. He actually tried to become Hakeem's manager. As you will learn in this trial, in 2020, Hakeem was a local celebrity. He was a rap musician. And you're going to see that it was Blue is going to do what he's doing in this case. He uses people, and he was trying to use Hakeem. He is using the prosecutors in this case to get out of the 2 murder cases that we know that he have committed. He, just like Dominique Barno, was caught red-handed in this case. He is the person that Dominique Barno called for help to pick him and Leroy Whitaker up after they had broken into Barbara Buckley's home. But what you're also going to hear, members of the jury, and what is most important, this is not the first time that Dominique Barno and Blue have done this. That's right. Dominique Barno and Blue are co-defendants in a completely separate homicide case. They're co-defendants in that case, and they're co-defendants in this case. And you're going to learn that Blue, this ain't his first time cooperating with law enforcement. He's done that before, so he has experience. He knows that when he is in trouble and he is caught, if I say what the government wants to hear, I get out. He's done it before, and he's going to do it again in this courtroom. And what's more troubling with Blue, members of the jury, in exchange for his testimony in this case, he is hoping to get 76 months. 76 months. He's already served 60. So in less than 2 years, he is hoping to be back on the streets of Duval County. Now, Mr. Cooper just got up there and said the testimony against Hakeem being involved in this murder is going to be corroborated by reliable evidence. It is not. None of the credible, reliable evidence that he's going to bring in here says that Hakeem Robinson is the guy in that picture. Another one of the witnesses that they're going to bring in front of you, another one that was in that little diagram that they showed, Torrigan Williams. And this is even worse, members of the jury, because their own lead detective is going to tell you they've known for 5 years that Torrigan Williams was involved in this homicide. Dominique Barno, years ago, told them Torrigan Williams was involved, but he gets a full pass. He's not walking through that door. He's walking through that door. Never been arrested, full-blown immunity for his testimony in this case. And you wonder, wait, why would that happen 5 years later? Well, that's because Torrigan Williams last year got arrested for trafficking in meth. That's the first time he decided to come forward and go, hey, wait a second, I'm in trouble. Prosecutors, I think I know, I have information that you might want. And by this time, members of the jury, 4 years have passed, and this case was plastered all over the internet for anyone to look up and see what they needed to find out about what they needed to say. After he decided to give a statement against Hakeem Robinson, what did they do? They dropped his state case. Dismissed, no action. Then the federal government decided to pick up his case. And Mr. Williams, if they call him to testify, is going to tell you, well, I'm hoping that the feds are going to be a little lenient on me because I am helping in this homicide case. Not one of their witnesses, members of the jury that take the stand, that tried to point the finger at Hakeem Robinson, not one of them are unbiased. Each one of them that are going to walk in here have some angle. They either are trying to help themselves, to get themselves out of their trouble with the government, or something for a loved one. Each one of them that points the finger in some way, shape, or form to Hakeem Robinson is hoping to get something, and not something small, freedom. But members of the jury, what Mr. DeCoste and I are going to ask you to do is to listen to the reliable, credible witnesses in this case. Because what you will see that all the reliable witnesses say was that actually the shooter, they actually saw them with his own eyes, as I told you before. Slim, slender, 5'8" to 5'11". Some of them say 5'5" to 5'8". Notice that not once when Mr. Cooper was giving his opening statement did he give you a description. I'm having to tell you that. And I'm talking about not just civilians, I'm talking about trained police officers. We'll talk about Officer Collins, the one who took chase. You notice when Mr. Cooper was talking to you? Oh, well, he was far away. He was jumping the fence and didn't get a good look. He's getting you guys ready to make excuses for why the description does not match Hakeem Robinson, and not even close. Officer Collins is a trained police officer, been doing this for 20 years, knows how to give information like that so that other people, other officers who are listening, he knows to give reliable information. He may come up in here now, 5 years later, and try to backpedal, members of the jury. Not sure, I don't remember. But you remember what he said at the time. That's the most reliable. Before everyone realized that the descriptions, wait, they don't match. And it's not just him. It's not just Officer Collins. You're going to hear from Officer Graham, another one who saw the shooter in this case. You know what his description was? 21-year veteran with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, 5'8" to 5'10". Now, those are just the officers. Next, we're going to talk about the civilian witnesses. You're going to hear from Victor Kruber. Mr. Cooper mentioned him. He's a guy with the dash cam in his vehicle, the person that was probably the closest to the shooting, who, and he's right, by happenstance, just happened to have this video recording on his dash cam when this happened. But what did you not hear in the state's opening statement? Mr. Kruger gave a description. You want to know what that description was? 5'10" to 5'11", and he was thin. Clearly not Hakeem Robinson. Not the only one. Javaris Roberts, who worked in the Hibet Sports in that strip mall, described the shooter as 5'8" to 5'9", on the skinnier side. Then we've got Aber Ahmad, a woman who was in her garage having coffee in the morning, sees someone matching the shooter's description, jump a fence and walk right in front of her. She describes him as shorter than 6 feet. But the most important one, Renata Boston. If you recall when Mr. Cooper was talking, he mentioned that the shooter ran through some woods and came out on the other side, and that magically Natalie Gant was there to pick up the shooter because she knew where he was. He didn't mention what Renata Boston described the shooter to look at, because she saw him come out of the woods. Slim build, 5'8" to 5'9", between 160 to 170 pounds. That is not even close to Hakeem Robinson. Multiple independent civilian witnesses, multiple police officers, all describing someone that could not possibly be Hakeem Robinson. And all their testimony, all of them, the ones whose testimony isn't bought with a promise of freedom, they're all consistent. It's clearly not him. The only eyewitnesses that will say that the shooter is Hakeem are the ones who have cut deals with the government. And they're not going to just present these eyewitnesses to you. As Mr. Cooper said, they're going to present all this other stuff, but take a close look at the details of what they present to you. Because not one piece of that evidence is going to be direct evidence that Hakeem Robinson is the shooter. Let's start with the cell phone evidence, because it's going to be a lot. All the records that they're going to produce to you, all the cell phone records that definitively show 100% Dominique Barna using his phone, Leroy Whitaker using his phone, Abdul Robinson Jr. using his phone, Abdul Robinson Sr. using his phone. All of them are communicating with each other. You know whose phone isn't being used? Or they don't have a record of being used at all? Hakeem Robinson. Mr. Cooper just got up here and told you that he's going to try to put a phone in the possession of Hakeem Robinson, a phone number that begins with 478. You know whose phone that's registered to? Abdul Robinson Sr., aka Blues, former dead best friend. That phone is registered to his father, not to him. And you're going to see that that phone the day before was pinging in the same place that his father was. They're going to try to make you think and connect that phone to Hakeem Robinson, and they will be unable to do so. Next up, fingerprints and DNA. They're going to try to present you with DNA and fingerprint evidence trying to put Hakeem in that car on that day. But members of the jury, their own expert will tell you, their experts are going to tell you, we have no idea when that DNA was left there or how. We have no idea how that fingerprint went or where it got there. All that proves to you, members of the jury, is Hakeem Robinson knows Leroy Whitaker. They're cousins. They hang out together. That's a fact that we're not disputing. And what did Mr. Cooper fail to tell you? That DNA was found on a t-shirt that was in the car. It's not just Hakeem Robinson's DNA. The expert is going to tell you that it's mixed up with 3 other people that I don't know who it is that's on that shirt. Then they're going to tell you that, well, I'm going to tell you that the evidence will show that a man's DNA was found in that car. That's going to say, I don't know how my DNA got in there, but it's there. As someone that is completely disassociated with this case. All that's going to prove, members of the jury, is that Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker, Torgon Williams, they're all friends and that they know each other. He told you that car was had been reported stolen for 2 months. They had been all in and out of that car. That DNA and that fingerprint does not place him in the car on the day of the murder. You're going to hear about all of the DNA that they have been unable to identify or match with someone else. But members of the jury, what I do want you to know is, even though Hakeem hung out with all these guys and he grew up with them and stuff, Hakeem was different because he was making it. Charles McCormick, they said he put out that song. He didn't put out a song. I mean, no one knew about that song. I mean, he tried to release it. He wasn't on the level of Hakeem Robinson, AKA, you're going to hear this name a lot throughout the course of the trial, Ksoo. And what you're going to hear, members of the jury, which is going to be very important. 4 days before the murder of Charles McCormick, Hakeem Robinson was signed to a record label that gave him a $40,000 advance. 4 days before. He was making it, he was leaving, he was doing his music. All of these people, though, they wanted to be around him. They wanted to share in his fame. But Hakeem cannot be put in this just because he hung around with the wrong people and was friends with them. He is not responsible for what they did in their free time. And even the government, well, I thought the government would agree that you cannot convict someone by association. And that is true, members of the jury. Guilty by association has no place in this courtroom. Mr. Cooper also mentioned something about a social media post. But members of the jury, when you view these pieces of evidence, please take them into context. He said it happened right after he made this post, 7 days after he made this post, okay? And it's all assumption and speculation with the phrase that he used. He is trying to say that that is somehow a confession. That post didn't say, hey, I killed Charles McCormick. He's going to ask you to imply that when he mentioned that had something to do with the murder that happened before that he had nothing to do with. But members of the jury, what we are going to ask, and this is what I'm just going to ask, we are at the beginning of this case. You haven't heard any of the evidence or seen any of the evidence yet. All I ask of you, each of you, is to please just pay close attention and really listen. Because when you strip away all the evidence that isn't either bought with money or the promise of freedom, the truth is going to be staring you right in your face. Focus on the credible, reliable, unbiased testimony from the witnesses, coupled with what you can see right in front of them. More importantly, your common sense. Because that is what you will need to see the truth in this case, because it is not him, members of the jury. Mr. Cooper talked about the fact that this case is going to be a puzzle and that you'll be able to see a picture at the end. But I'm going to tell you this, members of the jury. If one piece of that puzzle doesn't fit, it is not guilty. Do not shave the pieces of those puzzles to try to force it to fit. Because when you look, you are going to see the description does not match Hakeem Robinson, not even close. Now, members of the jury, there is a reason why the framers of the Constitution, this country's Constitution, ensured that the government would not have too much control over the freedom of the citizens they are meant to protect. And that was by giving the final word, not to the court, not to the state, but to you. People are innately flawed in that they sometimes can't see the truth when it's staring them right in front of their face, or they can't admit it when they've made a mistake. You are 12 members of this community, 15 members of this community, who have promised to look at this case through fresh eyes. That is all we beg of you, to objectively look at the evidence that is presented to you in this case. Because when you listen to all the credible, reliable evidence in this case, it's only going to prove to you one thing. Hakeem Robinson is innocent. Find him not guilty. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kwas. All right, I'm going to allow the court reporter to reposition. We will then bring in jury from Mr. Whitaker, and we are going to hear from the state's first witness today, and then we'll be recessing for the day. So just so you know the schedule, that's what we will be doing.
Ooh, child. Those defense attorneys is definitely doing they one too today. I wonder who the first witness gonna be. How y'all feeling so far? I ain't gonna lie. When we listened to the state opening, They came on strong, but them defense attorneys came stronger. I ain't gonna lie. It kind of give you hope that they might be able to beat it. Now, I know a couple people hit me up in regards to Ksoo lawyer saying basically Leroy Whitaker, aka Scotty, basically was in the house with Dominique Bonner. So the thing is, they got separate juries. So again, I don't know if they got understanding between each other, but it's not gonna play a part on Scotty because his jury didn't hear that. Now, if during a trial they say something like that, that's different. But remember, his jury didn't hear the opening statement from Ksoo attorney. Okay, so I don't think it harmed them per se. It's more so gonna be what outside people think about it. But hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Now, as far as Scotty's attorney, she basically said all they got on him is what Dominique Bonner is saying. They don't have no evidence. Okay. As far as Ksoo, they basically saying hell, they just pinning it on him just because his DNA was in a stolen car. So we'll see how it play out. But yeah, first witness coming up. I thought it was coming up.
How are we doing? Are we just going to put in one? You want to do a sidebar? How are you thinking?
Are you good? Okay. Are all sides ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's bring out Mr. Whitaker's jury.
Jury's in the courtroom.
You don't have to stand. You can sit. We stand out of respect for the jurors, but you ladies and gentlemen, the jury don't need to stand. Thank you. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may take your seats. At this time, I will call upon the state to call its first witness.
Victor Kruger.
All right, Victor Kruger, please. All right, Mr. Kruger, so if you'll come forward and be sworn. Oh, it's third, and the witness seat is going to be right there. Please be sure to speak loudly and clearly into the microphone and state. You may proceed.
Thank you. Would you please state and spell your name for the record?
Victor R. Kruger Jr., VICTORKRUGER.
Can you pull that microphone up to your mouth, Mr. Kruger? Thank you, sir.
Victor R. Kruger Jr., VICTORKRUGER.
And Mr. Kruger, do you currently live in Jacksonville?
I do.
What area of town?
Arlington,
And how long have you lived here in Jacksonville?
since '94.
Are you currently retired?
I am.
And when did you retire?
2017.
What type of work did you do before you retired?
Computers. I worked for CSX and was a computer architect.
Are you familiar with the shopping center located at 7001 Merrill Road?
I am.
And that's here in Duval County?
Yes.
And did you go to that shopping plaza on January 15th of 2020?
I did.
And what was the reason that you went to that location?
I have a UPS box for handling mail. So the UPS store there, I'd gone to pick up mail.
And what type of vehicle were you in when you went to the shopping plaza?
2007 Dodge Ram Mega Cab, 1500.
Does it have a lift on it?
4 inches.
So that makes it sit up 4 inches higher than a regular?
Correct. It came from the factory that way.
Okay. Was anyone else with you when you went to the UPS store?
No.
And do you recall where you parked?
Behind the UPS store and directly facing the employment office, which was at the end of the storefronts in the back.
And by employment office, do you mean express employment?
Yes.
What did you do after you got there?
Got out of the truck, went into the UPS store, got mail, and came back out. Had gotten in the truck and had opened a couple pieces of mail, bills, just to see what they were, then turned on the car.
And what happened after you did that?
Right about the time I started the truck, I heard the first shot. I wasn't quite sure what it was. I had music going on the stereo. But I looked around and saw a young gentleman running, and maybe a second or two right behind him, another gentleman chasing him with a rifle, firing at him, and eventually hit him where he tripped and ended up shooting him multiple times while he lay on the ground.
The person that was being chased, did you see where he came from?
He had come out of the employment office.
Now, when this shooting took place, was there anything that obstructed your view?
No.
How close would you estimate you were to the person being chased and the person chasing him?
I'd say they're about 15, 20 feet off to my left.
Did they run across where you were parked?
Yeah, so it's kind of a little to the right of the employment office, but right on the edge of it. So out of the corner of my eye, he came running past, and I saw, then turned and saw the other one. So that distance between the chaser and chasee was about 15, 20 feet, and then he was being chased down the promenade.
Do you recall approximately how many gunshots you heard?
My estimate would be 12, but between 10 and 15.
And all of this happened fairly quickly?
Yes.
After the shooting stopped, the person that chased the other person and shot them, what did they do?
They came running back. The car that I didn't see them exit the car, but they came back to a Nissan that had come racing up to my left, almost hit my truck because I was pulling out, and he jumped in that Nissan.
And what did you do at that point?
At that point, I had pulled up farther, was actually perpendicular to the other side of the employment office, and I was kind of rolling forward, just kind of watching on my back window. They took off down the Publix shopping lane, and I chased after them.
Prior to chasing after them, when you were in that area where you just pulled up and you saw the Nissan coming up, did you see anyone else outside in that immediate area?
Not in the immediate area, no.
Would you consider yourself to have been the closest person outside in that immediate area?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of you trying to follow after that Nissan Altima?
Ultimately, hoping to catch the license plate of the Nissan. More than that, I don't know whether I thought through what I was doing.
Prior to the Nissan taking off, did you see what side of the car the shooter got back into?
Passenger side, front.
Were you able to see clearly into the Nissan?
No, it was very heavily tinted with windows.
Do you recall what the shooter was wearing?
Sort of like a tracksuit, hoodie, just very baggy. And just really covered up, so there wasn't really much I could see of the shooter.
Were you ever able to see the shooter's face?
No.
Could you tell anything about the shooter? Could you tell what color the person was?
As I was driving past the employment office and kind of watching the shooter come back, had a mask on, but I could see around the eyes. Definitely was a black individual.
Could you make any determination as to whether it was a male or a female?
It was baggy enough. I would say just by the movement, I would say it was probably a male, but I really couldn't tell any physical features. Like I said, the jumpsuit was very baggy.
What type of firearm did you see?
It was a rifle with an extended magazine.
Did you have a dash cam in your vehicle?
I did.
Where was that equipped?
I was on the front windshield, up high on the windshield to the right of the rear view mirror.
Did you have to turn that dash cam on in order for it to record?
No. I do have to, it's not wired into the battery, but I do, whenever I leave the house, I plug it into a cigarette lighter, so until I unplug it, it stays running.
So even when you got to the shopping plaza, parked, and went to UPS, was that dash cam still recording?
Yes.
And approximately how far did you follow the Nissan after it took off?
Well, as I was going down the Publix, had a police officer pull up beside me, wave him in front of me, and I followed them to the exit of the Publix shopping center. They exited onto Merrill. At that point, I couldn't exit safely because of oncoming traffic, so I waited. Eventually got onto Merrill and went down Townsend where they had gone. But I never caught up to them at that point, turned around and went back to wait for police and paramedics and all.
And when the police showed up, did you tell them that you had a dash cam in your vehicle?
I did.
And did you allow officers to view that video and download it?
They downloaded it, yes.
Now, on your dash cam, does it include the date and time of the video?
No, because of the fact that I'm always unplugging it and it's losing power. It'll just read whatever the default date is.
Okay, so not necessarily the accurate date and time, but it still records. Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Is it?
Showing you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 8E. Can you take a moment and see if you recognize that necessary?
That's the one that you had me sign.
And is this a recording of that dash cam video?
It is.
Fair and accurate as to what was recorded on January 15, 2020?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this time I would ask to move what's been marked as State's Exhibit 8E into evidence in both cases.
All right, is there any objection from Defendant Whitaker?
No, Your Honor.
Any objection from Defendant Robinson?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then without objection, State's Exhibit 8E will be moved into evidence. The State's Exhibit, do you want the numbers as listed on your exhibit list?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, number 187.
And Your Honor, may I publish that?
Yes, you may. And while you're setting that up, let me just tell the jurors that any and all items of evidence that are moved into the trials of each of the respective defendants are going to be sent back with you into the jury rooms for your use during deliberations if you wish to see or observe these things again. So this isn't the only time that you will be seeing the state's evidence, or any evidence for that matter.
That's awful. We can change that. I can change the source. What's the source? source. It's on. Source. I can't see it. Hang on.
There's one.
Everyone's monitor on?
All right, yes, let's confirm, are both juries' monitors on? Very good, and counsel, everyone's monitors on, and the witness's monitor is on as well. All right, you may proceed.
Mr. Kruger,
I'm going to show you a clip from your dash cam video and ask you a question.
Mr. Kruger, that comment, that's the car right there. Was that you speaking?
Yes.
And so was that the vehicle that the officer got behind?
It was.
Okay. And do you recall where that vehicle was parked if you saw it prior to the shooting?
I didn't see it prior to the shooting, but it would have been off to my left 3 or 4 spaces. Didn't really notice it until I was pulling out and they came roaring up to the curb where they would have picked up the gentleman that had shot the other gentleman.
And based on being present at the time, do you have any estimate as to what the height of the shooter would have been just based on your position?
I'd say 5'10", 5'11", less than 6.
But pretty close to based on 5'10" to 5'11"?
Yeah.
Okay. Judge, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, cross-exam for Mr. Whitaker.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good. You mentioned that This is a strip mall you go to fairly regularly?
Yes,
And in this strip mall, there's a Publix, correct?
correct.
And a Bailey's, I think it's now Choose Gymnasium.
Yes,
And even like a medical office, like a Baptist outpatient.
yeah, that was, in front of that is where the young gentleman was actually killed.
And obviously, we could see from your dash cam video, there's a lot of cars, there's a lot of people out there, correct?
Yep.
Okay. You mentioned you were not able to see into the inside of this silver car,
That is
correct?
correct.
And as you, I know you may have watched it now multiple times, but as you were watching it that day on January 15th, could you tell it was a Nissan Altima?
Yes,
But you were not able to see how many people were in that car,
No.
one way or the other, correct?
it would have to be two at least.
Okay.
The driver and the gentleman who got in the passenger side.
Because logic would dictate the shooter that we see in your video isn't driving that car, right?
Correct.
And your testimony is that you watch that silver car go closer to the shooter to pick the shooter up, right?
Yes,
And that's where you get the very logical assumption there had to be at least two people in that car, correct?
yes, ma'am.
But other than that, you have no information.
No,
Okay. And you certainly only saw one lone gunman, correct?
correct,
One shooter, correct?
correct.
And you didn't hear any kind of words before the first shot, correct?
No, ma'am.
You didn't hear any kind of words throughout the entire dash cam video, correct?
Correct.
Besides your own proclamation trying to make sure that the officer saw, hey, that's the car that was involved, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything further. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Cross for Mr. Robinson.
Please, Your Honor. Good evening, Mr. Kruger.
Hello?
You would consider yourself precise, correct?
As precise as I can be, yes.
You own an esports team.
I do.
You were a computer architect for a number of years.
I was.
You're precise in your work
I hope so.
and in your words, right?
Yes.
No. The distance between you and this shooter is about the same distance between me at this podium and you in that seat, correct?
About, yeah.
Give or take a few feet.
Yes, sir.
You were wearing your glasses that day,
Yes, sir.
and you got to look at the shooter. You saw the shooter.
I saw the shooter in
Correct.
the sense that I saw the individual in a tracksuit, but I did not see identifying anything that I could identify him with.
Now, you're a big guy yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
6'4", 230?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, if the witness may please stand and if I could approach.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Court reporter and counsel at sidebar. You can have a seat, Mr. Kruger, while we do this. Right this side. Yes, y'all can come up. It's only... I can't find the white noise on here. Yeah.
They don't want him to compare the sizes to each other. Ooh, it seemed like they probably got it all wrong. What's up, picture this and that, LLC? And then that'd be the crazy part, because when you deal with people that's telling per se, and maybe they got more to hide than you think, and they switch up the story, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just seemed like they possibly got they might have had the players right. Seemed like they put the players in the wrong order. Possibly, I don't know. It just seemed that way. What's up, Lamar? Yeah, I'm back, trying to get back in the swing of things. I was late to the live today because my tail was asleep. I done got used to sleeping mostly all doggone day. But yeah, we back at it. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. I think this will be the only witness for today, and then they're gonna go into recess until tomorrow. I ain't gonna lie, if I was in Jacksonville, this would stress me out, okay? Having to be on the jury past 5 o'clock. Because it's 5 o'clock Eastern time, they still in court. But we're gonna be back at it tomorrow. I'm gonna try my best to be on time tomorrow. But I wasn't sure they was gonna stream this today. If you was here earlier, if you wasn't here earlier, people have asked me about the T Grizzly situation. I will be working on a video on that. I'm trying to get caught up on that. I'll give y'all my opinion about that. I don't know exactly what time they're going to start. I'm going to see what they say at the end, because today they started later in the afternoon. So I will let y'all know. But yeah, the T Grizzly video, I'm going to work on it after this live. Yeah, and that's where we're at. Like I said, we've been waiting years for this trial to take place. So today we went through opening statements, and the first witness, this witness that's currently on the stand, was a bystander that just happened to be there with a dash cam video and was able to attempt to chase the vehicle. I nothing in my mind will ever be like chase the vehicle. I'm sorry, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. But we'll see how things. Lamar said, "Man, Flacco and Cole trying to do T like Big U with the lies." Oh Lord, yeah, I was getting hit up about a couple things I talked about earlier. Like I said, yeah, you know, but I'll put it all in the video, you know. Mr. Duval said rappers that ruin cities, murders kids, and rap about telling on themselves is diabolical. Decent people live here trying to raise their kids. The gangs are pure evil. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm gonna say about it is it seemed like something might, I'm gonna be honest, something they may possibly beat this just because the descriptions and stuff don't match Ksoo. His team is heavily relying on that and pointing it out every chance they get. That may be enough. But it's only day one. We'll see how things play out. I'm just saying, you know. Turn into a victim trying to be a hero. That part, that's not like I don't see how they do it. Nothing in my mind would have been like running behind a car when you just seen them gun down somebody and hey, no. Mickey fat check, so her perception on Tigger is gonna be different. I can't wait. You already know. I was talking about it earlier. And yeah, definitely saying fishy in the water with the T Grizzly situation, but you know, I think people just looking at it, the fact that it's a Chicago person that got charged with it, you know, just like they've been saying, court been going in this week when that's been a lie. No, the trial is going on for the T Grizzly thing.
I want to get back to the other screen. It's the house phone.
Okay.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Let's make sure the court reporter's ready. Yes? Okay, yes, you may proceed.
All right, Mr. Kruger, if you can stand for us again, we'll resume where we were. You're 6'4", 230, right? All right, now if you could take a seat again, I'm going to ask you a question. The shooter that you saw, and again, the distance in between you and I right now, you would describe that person as smaller than you by a long shot, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, when I say long shot, I mean under 6 feet to me would be a long shot. But
we're not just talking about height. We're talking about height and weight, correct?
He was lanky, yes.
And in your words, somebody who is very slight, right?
Lanky, yeah, slim.
You would agree with very slight?
Very slight? I don't know. I said that a tracksuit was very baggy, so it definitely was not a stocky gentleman.
Do you disagree that you said very slight, or do you not remember?
I said very slight, then that's what I said.
Would it help your memory if you were to take a look at your deposition?
Sure.
You're on page 16. line 12. The court should have an email from myself with the transcript, if I may approach.
Okay, you may.
You do me a favor. Just look at this. Don't answer. You just review that highlighted portion, then I'll re-ask my questions again, okay?
Okay.
The shooter was very slight, right?
That was the word, yes.
Those were your words.
Correct.
And he wasn't carrying a lot of body fat either, correct?
Correct.
And although you said that he was 5'10" to 5'11", you wouldn't swear to that.
As a matter of speech, it was my estimation. That's what I really meant.
But you unequivocally said that he was very slight.
I did.
All right, one moment, please.
Yes.
Nothing further. Thank you, Mr. Kruger.
All right, is there any redirect?
No, Judge.
May this witness be excused?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kruger. Sir, you're excused and free to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 5:30 p.m., and so we are going to recess for the evening, each of the two juries. I'm going to ask that you leave your notepads behind. We will lock them, secure them, and return them to you when we reconvene tomorrow morning, again here in courtroom 407 at 9 a.m., where we will continue with the state's case in chief. I must remind you that over this overnight recess, you're not to talk about this case with anyone or allow anyone to say anything to you or in your presence about this case. Please make every effort not to read, watch, or listen to any television, newspaper, or radio stories that might be printed or aired about this matter. And additionally, while we are returning your electronic devices, you're not to use them, phones, internet, computers, or anything, to find out any information about the people or places involved in this case. And again, I'll repeat, you are not to visit the locations mentioned in the trial so far. Tomorrow we will commence at 9 promptly, and we will proceed as we have been with periodic bio breaks with a 1-hour lunch recess. And again, we'll recess in the evening anywhere between 5 and 6, depending where we are with the questioning of a witness. And that is it. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, the jury for Mr. Whitaker and the jury for Mr. Robinson, you are excused and free to go. Thank you.
All right. Listen, today has definitely been an intriguing day. So y'all heard tomorrow court starts at 9 a.m. I'm gonna make sure I set my alarm. So we back at it at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'm gonna go live every day that they have trial. Y'all know a lot of trials are picking up from this point on, and we're gonna try to follow it. Just a brief summary for those who may not have been here for the full live. This is for the murder of Lil Buck, not the Bibby murder. Ksoo still has to go to trial for that. So this is just for the Lil Buck murder. So far today, we heard opening statements from the prosecution and both defense. Each defendant has their own jury, so they were not privy to hear what the other defense team said in their opening. We have confirmed that Ksoo's dad will be testifying in this case. We also heard that Ksoo's dad has been cooperating with the police before ATK Scotty was even born. So I think he's like 20 something. So that's a long time. We also heard that Dominique Berner, aka Butter, will be testifying in this case. And that he has been cooperating with police before, prior to this case. We have heard a lot of testimony or proffer from the attorneys that the description of the shooter is definitely going to be heavy for Ksoo's defense. The first witness that we heard from today was Victor Kruger, who was a bystander that just happened to be there, that had a dash cam in his truck, and that he witnessed the actual shooting, and that he tried to attempt to follow the suspects. However, he was not able to provide any details about the suspect other than it was a thin-built guy. So again, remember, that's Ksoo's whole defense. The witnesses did not describe him. I'll say Butter testifying. Yes, he will be testifying according to the defense. He is a key piece to this case for the state. He is the one that actively said he was there throughout the whole shooting. So that's going to be their key witness. We all thought that Ksoo's dad was a key witness, although he is one of the good witnesses for them. But yes, Butter is the key witness for the state. He is looking at anywhere between, 20 years, 40 years, something like that, to life. Okay. That's what he's facing. He won't get his time until after his cooperation at this trial. All right. So pretty much that's it. I think I summed it up pretty well. Again, tomorrow we're back at it at 9 a.m. Those who are asking about the T Grizzly situation, I'm definitely gonna start working on that once I end this live. So it'll drop sometime this evening. Butter finna take that plea. He already took it. So he already played out to his part, you know, quote unquote. He just doesn't know how much time he will get until after he's done on the stand. Ksoo's dad also already took a plea. He's okay, so I had him mixed up. So Butter could get anywhere from 40 years to life. However, the judge does have the discretion to do less than 40. Ksoo's dad is facing 20 years, said that he's ill or whatever. So, but like I said, the most shocking part to me was hearing that Ksoo's dad been telling for years. Now that's the most shocking part I heard. The whole thing, I was like, what? So yeah. Other than that, that's all they released so far. So I don't know how. Normally, from what I've been hearing in Jacksonville, their trials don't last that long. So we probably done with this trial by next week. Because I know that last trial we followed in a shooting of I be trying to keep up with all these doggone people. What was that last case? Dang, what's his name? Shoot. He was on he was along with Julio and them. What's his name? Free. He in jail now, but his girlfriend got killed. What is his name? I can't think of it. Y'all know I'm just getting back into content, and I'm having a brain fog. But when we followed that trial, remember that trial only lasted 3 days. Okay. So yeah. Please follow the second trial for Bibby. Yeah, we're gonna follow. Hey, if they stream it, we there. K Shorty, thank you. Yes. So when we followed the K Shorty shooting and the murder of his girlfriend, you know, that was only a 3-day trial. So we'll definitely see how long this takes. But we're back at it tomorrow. Pretty much that's the summary. I'll try to chop it down into a quick recap though, for those who could. We've been live for about 2 hours. Tomorrow we're probably gonna be live for about 8 hours. Cause we're gonna start from the beginning to the end. But I'll drop a recap video once I get myself together, because I'm still walking around with my bonnet. Y'all know I overslept today. I didn't even know they were streaming it. I'm glad they are. What else? What other trials we got coming up? We got who else coming up? I know we got Yellow Beezy in November. We got Dirk in October. We got, who else coming up? I feel like I'm missing some people. We got somebody in November. Who in November? Yellow Beezy in November. Dirk in October. Melly in September. So yeah, it's about to pick up with the trials. Y'all know that's the only time I go live. Okay, so we definitely got some trials coming up. We're gonna follow. Do you think Ksoo coming home? It's too soon. I'm gonna be honest. The way that his defense attorneys is coming out, like, if you don't remember nothing else so far, you remember basically that they're picking out that he's a big dude, and nobody said the shooter's a big dude. So I feel like it's a glimmer of hope for him. I ain't gonna say he coming home just yet. And again, even if he beat this case, he will still not come home because he has to face the Lil Baby case, murder case. For my YNW Melly sector, I know y'all been wanting me to. I'm behind. I know. I missed 2 hearings. I'm gonna try to watch them and give y'all my take on it. But yeah, I'm behind on the Melly case too. I don't think I missed too much, but I know I ain't dropped the Melly video. That was during the time I was taking a break from content. But yeah, we're still following the Melly case. So September Melly, October Dirt. I'm still up in the air about if I'm going out to the Dirt case, because so many people are going out to do that. I don't know if I'm gonna go out to the Dirt case. Originally I was, but we'll see what happens. As far as that. Coming home, his daddy identified him by his J's. I'm gonna be honest though. As far as when I think about, even though his daddy is cooperating, that doesn't like pinpoint like he cooked like on some real stuff. Like, cause again, if he don't fit the description of the shooter by all the witnesses, that may not play into everybody. See, most of the people is thinking because they know allegedly the history of Ksoo, but to jurors that probably don't even know who a Ksoo is and just looking at what they're presenting, it's possibility. But we'll see. You know, where I'm at. Out of all of them, who you think coming home? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Dang, that's a good question. Picture this. I don't even know. Like part of me, I ain't gonna lie. Part of me feel like it's a chance for all of. I kind of feel like Yellow Bees is gonna beat the case. But you know, the trial ain't even started. But I kind of feel like Yellow Bees is gonna beat the case. I feel like Melly might get off with a technicality because they're not. Most of the evidence they had to like cook it up the last time, they don't have now, which is why they're trying to push the trial back, but the judge is not going for it. So I think everybody got a chance. I know that's probably not the answer y'all want. I think everybody got a chance. Because you know, everybody got a chance. Even Lil Dirt got a chance. I will say, and I'm gonna say it again in my video when I do my T Grizzly. The scenario is so similar to the Dirt situation. Like for real. Like it's just, you know. What is this person talking about? Ksoo telling y'all we ain't there. What? Ksoo telling what? What did Ksoo tell? Oh Lord, y'all. Oh, but y'all know. I don't know what you talking about. Ksoo tell. What did he tell? Maybe I missed something. Cause I ain't heard that part. Yellow Beezy might beat, but Dirt is toast. Well, it's early. Like I said, I don't know. Like with cases, I'm gonna be honest, with cases, it'd be hard to tell because like if y'all was with me when we watched the Melly trial, I just knew he was gonna walk on that, and then he ended up not walking. You know what I'm saying? So his lawyer blaming the other. That's not telling though. Like you gotta understand, a witness has already said, like, let me just explain that, because I knew that was because a lot of people hit me up about it. Okay, so his lawyer said nobody was there besides Dominique Barner and ATK Scotty. A witness is already saying that. So it's not that Ksoo saying it. The evidence that the prosecution already put into play says that. So they're just going off of, well, the evidence showed that they was there. My client wasn't there. And again, they have separate, y'all got to keep in mind, they have separate juries. So although Ksoo jury heard that, they're not deciding the fate of Scotty. You know what I'm saying? So Scotty jury not didn't even hear that. He ain't, so yeah, I'm gonna have to let y'all be. Cause like, y'all gotta understand, lawyers, like at the end of the day, when you hire a lawyer, not no public defender, but even them, but when you hire a lawyer, their job is to get you off. Their job is to give the best defense. So part of the best defense, okay, is saying, hey, they have no evidence of nothing. Nobody is saying that my client was there. They're saying this and that. I mean, I don't care what you heard. Like, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. I said that early when it first said, it's just going to be a bunch of people claiming they know how courtrooms run. They got something to say. So, modern day sniper, you do what you do. But thank you for engaging in the chat. That's why I ain't block you, because, like, you just saying stuff. Yeah, you can tell. But anyway, yeah, so it's going to be intriguing, you know. No, I know how the streets go. Well, you in a wrong conversation. We talking about a damn court case. Like, I know how the street goes. Great for you. Like, we are talking about a court case. The streets don't belong in no court case. Yeah, I miss y'all, man. Y'all definitely gave me, y'all done woke me all the way up. Okay, listen. I appreciate y'all, man. It's been a minute. That involves the streets, that boy. I mean, anyway, I miss y'all. First day back on live, and y'all definitely okay. Got me rolling, okay. But yeah, we back at it, y'all. I'm gonna have to get up off of here because I do need to do the T Grizzly video so y'all can get it today. Before I start my day. I know I'm getting a late start in my day. But we back at it at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And we're going to break it down as always. Y'all make sure y'all like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Now pull up on your girl, Mickey Truth. See y'all tomorrow.
Mickey talks, the truth. Okay. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind.
Hey, listen, you are now rocking with Mickey Truth. She live up to her name, not the fame. So make sure y'all subscribe to her channel and stay updated on what's real. Bye.
Good reporting ass Mickey.
We love you, Mickey. Hold on, wait, before I go, y'all make sure y'all tap in with me to book your slot. A lot of y'all be hitting me up on Instagram and the email wanting to just talk about content, whether you're an up-and-coming content creator or somebody just got questions about cases or whatever. Book your consultation with me now. The information is on the screen. Hey, make sure you get your slot, because my slots be full of